The email arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, 3 weeks before what was supposed to be the happiest day of my sister's life, and mine, as her maid of honor. Subject: Wedding Party Update. I should have known from the clinical subject line that something was wrong. My sister Veronica never sent emails with subject lines like that. She sent texts with 17 emojis or voice messages that lasted 3 minutes when 30 seconds would do. Dear Margot, after careful consideration and multiple discussions with Derek and our wedding planner, we've decided to make some adjustments to the wedding party. We feel it would be best if you attended as a regular guest rather than as maid of honor. We'll be moving forward with Derek's sister Claudette in that role. We hope you understand that this decision comes from a place of wanting the best for our special day. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Love, Veronica and Derek. I read it 3 times, each time feeling like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed. Love, Veronica and Derek. Not even V or your sister or Ronnie, like I'd called her since we were kids. Just Veronica and Derek, like they were a corporation sending me a termination notice. My hands shook as I called her. It went straight to voicemail. I called again and again. On the 4th attempt, she texted, "Can't talk now. Wedding planning. We can discuss this later." Later. As if she'd just asked me to pick up milk instead of removing me from the most important role in her wedding. I threw my phone across my studio apartment and watched it bounce off my secondhand couch. The couch I'd bought after using my savings to fly to Paris for Veronica's engagement photoshoot because she'd begged me to capture authentic, candid moments that her professional photographer couldn't get. The same savings I'd planned to use for a new camera lens. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed scrolling through my phone, retrieved from where it had landed screen down but miraculously intact, looking at photos from our childhood, Veronica and me building sandcastles in Cape Cod. Veronica and me at her high school graduation, where I, 8 years younger, had held a homemade sign that said, "That's my sister." Veronica and me just last year, both crying happy tears when Derek proposed at that restaurant where the waiters sang opera. How did we get from there to careful consideration and multiple discussions? The answer came 2 days later, not from Veronica, but from our cousin Rachel at a family dinner I'd been dreading. "It's so awful what happened," Rachel said, cornering me by the appetizer table, her voice dripping with the kind of sympathy that barely concealed gossip. "I mean, I think you're gorgeous, but you know how Veronica has always been competitive." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" Rachel's eyes widened with the realization that she knew something I didn't, and she was going to savor every second of telling me. Oh, you don't know. Margot, I thought. Surely someone would have told you by now." "Rachel, what happened?" She leaned in conspiratorially, and I caught a whiff of her expensive perfume. The kind Veronica wore now, ever since she'd gotten engaged to Derek, whose family had the kind of money that made my parents' comfortable upper-middle-class lifestyle look quaint. At the engagement party last month, Derek's mother was showing everyone those photos from the Paris trip, the ones you took, and apparently Derek's father made some comment about how beautiful you looked in the background of one of them. He asked Derek why he hadn't gone for the younger sister. Rachel paused for effect. Veronica heard. She absolutely lost it, apparently. Claudette told me Veronica cried for 2 hours about how she's always been the pretty one, the successful one, and now, even at her own engagement party, people were looking at you. The room tilted slightly. "That's insane. I was barely in those photos. I was behind the camera." There was that one selfie of all of you, Rachel continued, pulling out her phone. This one. See? You're right between Veronica and Derek, and honestly, the lighting hit you perfectly. You're glowing. Veronica looks kind of washed out in comparison, and Derek's looking at you instead of her, probably because you were taking the photo, but still. I stared at the image. It was true. In that fraction of a second, in that particular arrangement of pixels and light, I looked radiant, happy. The Paris sunset caught the auburn in my hair that Veronica and I shared, but where her hair was styled into submission, mine was windblown and wild. Where her smile was posed, mine was genuine. I'd been laughing at something Derek's brother had said, and Derek's eyes were angled toward me, his smile caught in that half-formed moment before settling into the camera-ready grin. It was nothing, it meant nothing, but in Veronica's mind, apparently, it meant everything. So that's why I'm out, I said quietly, because I might be a distraction at her wedding. Rachel nodded enthusiastically, clearly thrilled to be the bearer of terrible news. Claudette doesn't have your looks. I mean, she's fine, but she's very plain. Safe choice. I set down my untouched plate of canapés. I need some air. Outside, I called Veronica. Again, it went to voicemail. This time, I left a message. I know why you did it. Rachel told me everything. V, I'm your sister. I've spent my entire life cheering you on, celebrating every success, supporting every dream. And you're throwing me out of your wedding because I accidentally looked good in one photo? Because Derek's creepy dad made a gross comment? That's on him, not me. Call me back, please. We need to talk about this. She didn't call back. My mother tried to mediate, of course. She invited me to lunch at that Italian place where the breadsticks came in unlimited quantities, which I knew meant she wanted me sedated with carbs before delivering bad news. Margot, honey, she began after I'd mechanically consumed my third breadstick. Sometimes sisters go through rough patches. Rough patches? I laughed, sharp and bitter. Mom, she demoted me from maid of honor to guest via email. She won't return my calls. Apparently, I'm too distracting to stand next to her at the altar. My mother sighed, looking older suddenly. Veronica is under a lot of stress. Planning a wedding is... Don't. I held up my hand. Don't make excuses for her. You always do this. When we were kids and she broke my camera and told you I did it, you believed her. When she borrowed my college essay ideas and got into her first choice school while I got waitlisted, you said I should be happy for her success. And now this. When does it stop, Mom? When do I stop being the supporting character in Veronica's story? That's not fair, my mother said quietly. You girls are both my daughters. I love you equally. Then why am I the only one being asked to understand, to give in, to make myself smaller so Veronica can shine brighter? I stood up, throwing my napkin on the table. I'm done, Mom. I'll go to the wedding because refusing would cause drama, and God forbid anyone cause drama for precious Veronica. But I'm done pretending this is okay. I left my mother at the table, probably crying into her pasta primavera, feeling guilty but also lighter than I had in days. The photography gig came through one of my regular clients, a lifestyle influencer named Jade, who'd built a following by being relentlessly authentic about her messy divorce and subsequent journey to self-discovery. She needed a photographer for a fashion shoot in Paris. She'd partnered with a sustainable clothing brand, and they wanted real woman in real locations vibes. Come with me, Jade said over coffee, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her mug. 2 weeks in Paris, all expenses paid, plus your day rate. The shoot's only 3 days, so you'd have tons of time to explore. I checked the dates on my phone. I can't. My sister's wedding is on the 27th. The sister who demoted you via email? Jade raised an eyebrow. Margot, be serious. You're telling me you're going to sit in the audience, watching her marry some finance bro, while his goblin sister stands where you should be standing, instead of getting paid to photograph gorgeous clothes at the Eiffel Tower? When she put it that way, I can't just skip my sister's wedding. Why not? Jade leaned forward. She clearly doesn't value you. She chose her fiancé's family over her own sister, over someone who's been there for her entire life. What do you owe her? I thought about that email. After careful consideration and multiple discussions. How long had they discussed it? Had Derek's parents been there? Had they all sat around their mahogany dining table, sipping wine that cost more than my rent, debating whether I was pretty enough to be a problem? When do we leave? I heard myself ask. Jade's smile was sharp and beautiful. That's my girl. I didn't tell anyone I wasn't coming until 3 days before the wedding. I crafted the email carefully, reading it 17 times before hitting send. Veronica, I've accepted a work opportunity in Paris that conflicts with your wedding date. I won't be able to attend. I'm sorry for the late notice, but this is important for my career. I hope you have a beautiful day, Margot. My phone exploded within minutes. My mother, Margot Claire Morrison, call me immediately. My father, who never texted, very disappointed in you. Your sister is heartbroken. Rachel, ever helpful. OMG, the drama. And finally, Veronica, you're really going to miss my wedding for a photo shoot? This is a new low, even for you. I knew you were jealous, but I didn't think you'd be this petty. I stared at that last message for a long time, even for you, as if I'd made a habit of disappointing her, when the reality was the opposite. I'd bent myself into a pretzel for Veronica my entire life. Not anymore. I turned off my phone and finished packing. Paris in late September was exactly as magical as everyone said it would be. Jade's brand had spared no expense. We stayed in a boutique hotel in the Marais, all exposed beams and modern fixtures, where breakfast was fresh croissants and the best coffee I'd ever tasted. The day of Veronica's wedding, I woke up at 6 a.m., my body still on East Coast time. I should have been in a hotel room in Connecticut, having my hair curled into submission, helping Veronica into her dress, holding her hand while she panicked about whether Derek really loved her or just loved her family's connections. Instead, I put on one of the outfits Jade had insisted I borrow. A stunning cream silk dress that moved like water, paired with ankle boots and a vintage leather jacket, and headed to the Eiffel Tower for our early morning shoot. Jade looked incredible, as always, in a flowing emerald dress that caught the light. But as I looked through my viewfinder, capturing her twirling against the Paris skyline, I realized something. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Your turn, Jade said after we'd finished her shots. Get in front of the camera. I'm the photographer, I protested. And I'm an influencer with 500K followers who knows how to use a camera. Come on, when's the next time you'll be in Paris at sunrise? So I did it. I stood in front of the Eiffel Tower in that borrowed silk dress, and I let Jade take my photo. I didn't pose like Veronica would have, chin down, shoulders back, smile carefully calibrated. I just existed. I laughed at Jade's terrible French accent. I spun around like a kid. I let myself be happy. These are incredible, Jade breathed, showing me the screen. Margot, you're glowing. Can I post one? I'll tag you. I hesitated for only a moment. Sure. I didn't think about it again until that evening, when I turned my phone back on to find 247 missed notifications. Jade's post had gone viral. When your photographer is more photogenic than you, Margot Morrison photo is giving main character energy at the Eiffel Tower while living her best life. This is what choosing yourself looks like. The photo she'd chosen showed me mid-laugh, the Eiffel Tower perfectly framed behind me, the morning light making everything golden. I looked joyful, confident, alive. The comments were overwhelming. Who is she and where can I find her energy? This is what women supporting women looks like. Okay, but the dress, the location, the vibe, main character energy indeed. And then, buried among the thousands of comments, I found ones from people I knew. Rachel. Wait, is this today? Isn't this your sister's wedding day? Former classmate. Living your best life, I see. Good for you. Random distant relative. Your sister is going to lose her mind when she sees this. My stomach twisted. I opened my text messages. Mom, are you seeing what people are saying online? Veronica is devastated. How could you be so cruel? Veronica, congratulations. You've managed to make my wedding day all about you. I hope you're happy. And finally, a voicemail from my father that I almost didn't listen to. Margot, your mother is in tears. Your sister left her own reception early. This was vindictive and beneath you. I don't know who you've become, but I'm ashamed to call you my daughter right now. The joy I'd felt all day evaporated, replaced by a cold, creeping guilt. What had I done? I spent the next week in Paris in a fog. Jade's post had exploded, 4 million views and counting. My Instagram had gained 50,000 followers overnight. Brands were reaching out about collaborations. A gallery in New York wanted to feature my work. It was everything I'd ever wanted professionally, and it tasted like ash. You're being too hard on yourself, Jade said, over wine at a cafe in Saint-Germain. You took a job. You looked beautiful. You didn't do anything wrong. I skipped my sister's wedding. Your sister uninvited you from her wedding party because you're pretty. Let's not forget that part. Jade refilled my glass. Margot, you spent your whole life making yourself small for her. One time, one single time, you chose yourself, and she can't handle it. That's not your problem. But it felt like my problem. It felt like I'd dropped a grenade into my family and walked away. When I finally returned home, I found my apartment door unlocked. My mother was inside, sitting on my couch, looking like she'd aged 5 years in 2 weeks. We need to talk, she said. I set down my suitcase. I figured. Your father wants you to apologize, publicly. He thinks you should post something explaining that you never meant to upstage Veronica, that you're sorry for the timing, that family comes first. And what do you think? I asked. My mother was quiet for a long moment. I think I owe you an apology. That I hadn't expected. I've spent your whole life asking you to be understanding, she continued, her voice cracking. To be patient with Veronica, to not take things personally, to be the bigger person. And I never once stopped to ask what that was costing you, what it was teaching you about your own worth. Tears burned my eyes. Mom, let me finish. She stood up, crossing to me, taking my hands in hers. I watched Veronica grow up beautiful and charming and successful, and I thought she needed protection. I thought the world would be harder on her because she was a woman, because she was ambitious. So I taught you to protect her too. But I was wrong, Margot. I was so wrong. Because Veronica didn't need protection from you. She needed a sister. And you needed a mother who saw you as more than just Veronica's supporting act. I couldn't speak. The tears were falling now, hot and fast. What you did, going to Paris, living your life, being happy, that wasn't cruel. That was brave. And I'm so sorry it took me this long to see it. We stood there crying in my tiny apartment, and something in my chest that had been clenched tight for 26 years finally loosened. Veronica didn't speak to me for 3 months. During that time, my photography career exploded. The viral post had opened doors I'd only dreamed of: magazine features, commercial clients, an invitation to show at Art Basel. I moved into a bigger apartment. I bought the camera lens I'd been coveting. I existed loudly and unapologetically for the first time in my life. And then, on a cold December morning, Veronica showed up at my new apartment with coffee and croissants. Not Parisian, but a decent attempt from the French bakery downtown. "Can I come in?" she asked, and I noticed she looked different. Smaller somehow. Less polished, more real. I let her in. We sat on my new couch, furniture I'd bought with my own money, from my own success, and for a long moment, neither of us spoke. "I saw your feature in Vogue," Veronica finally said. "Your work is, God, Margot, it's incredible. It always has been, and I never told you that." "Thank you." "I owe you more than thanks. I owe you an apology that I'm not sure I have words for." She set down her coffee, turning to face me fully. "I was jealous of you. I've always been jealous of you." I blinked. That doesn't make sense. You're the successful one, the confident one, the one who had everything together." "I had it together because I built my entire identity around being better than you," Veronica said, and her voice broke. "From the time we were kids, I was the pretty sister, the smart sister, the accomplished sister. And then you grew up and became genuinely talented and beautiful and kind, and I panicked. Because if you were all those things too, what did that make me? What was I without that comparison?" Derek's father's comment at the engagement party. It wasn't the first time someone had compared us. It wasn't even the 10th time. But it was the first time I couldn't ignore it, couldn't rationalize it away. And instead of dealing with my own insecurity, I punished you for existing. She wiped her eyes. "Removing you from the wedding party was cruel. I knew it when I did it. I couldn't bear the thought of you standing next to me, looking radiant, while I felt like a fraud in my own wedding dress. I would never have. I know. That's what makes it worse. You've never once tried to compete with me. You've only ever supported me. And I threw that away because I was scared." Veronica reached for my hand. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't know if I'd forgive me, but I needed you to know that your success, your happiness, you deserve all of it. You always did. And I'm sorry I spent so long trying to convince us both otherwise." I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw someone I'd never seen before, someone vulnerable and hurting and human. "I forgive you," I heard myself say. "I don't know if we can go back to how things were, but I forgive you." Veronica nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I don't want to go back. The way things were wasn't healthy for either of us. I want to start over, as equals this time, if you're willing." "I'd like that." We sat there in my sun-filled apartment, drinking mediocre coffee and eating croissants that weren't quite right, and it felt like the beginning of something new, something honest. A year later, I'm photographing Fashion Week in Milan when Veronica texts me. It's a photo of her, Derek, and their new dog, a rescue golden retriever named Pascal, after our favorite childhood movie, all three of them muddy and laughing in what I recognize as the park near their house. "Your turn to take the good photos," her text reads. "Can you shoot our anniversary dinner next month?" I promise not to check the images to see if I look better than everyone else, working on my recovery LOL. I smile, typing back, only if you promise to actually smile instead of doing that weird pageant face thing. Rude, but fair. I look out at the Milan skyline, at the city spread before me like a promise, and think about that moment at the Eiffel Tower. The moment I chose myself. The moment everything changed. The photo from that day hangs in a gallery now. It's been licensed for greeting cards, motivational posters, even a billboard in Times Square. "Choose yourself," the caption reads, and 4 million people agreed. But the best part isn't the views or the validation or even the career it launched. The best part is that somewhere in Connecticut, my sister is learning to do the same. Retry.